Welcome to the Unpacking It podcast Christmas special 2020. I'm Bryce Johnson. Hope you're doing well today. I am joined by the Unpacking It social media director, Luke Heaton, joining us from Texas. Luke, how are you?
Doing good, Bryce. It is Christmas season, which is my favorite time of the year. So I am just high on life right now.
Absolutely, man. I'm fired up, and this is a really special time of year. And even with the craziness of 2020, Christmas is still Christmas. I love it. And so today on the show, as we really have done, I think most years, done this Christmas special, and we've talked movies and music. And so we'll do that again today. We've got some movie clips to share, some of our favorites. We'll also take a look at a spiritual faith thought that relates to Christmas today. Doesn't really relate to sports at all, but stick around for that. I think it'll be an encouragement to all of us as I put it together, and God really kind of gave me a word for today. Extremely encouraging to me, and excited to share that with all of you today. And as always, you can send me an email, bryce@unpackingit.com. Would love to know kind of your thoughts on Christmas. And so as we talk about some of these topics today, make sure you chime in as well. So bryce@unpackingit.com is the email. And then, of course, our website, unpackingit.com. And the Unpacking It podcast, we will be returning in the new year. Corey will be back with us on Mondays, and so really excited about the future of the show, and have some new announcements that we'll share with everybody in the new year as that show continues to grow and expand, and we try some new things, and really excited about unpacking it and where we're heading in the new year. But today, let's talk a little sports first, and then we'll talk Christmas, because we've got Luke on the show today, and his alma mater, Texas A&M, they are in the mix. Are they going to be the team that's on the outside looking in for the college football playoff? Luke, how you feeling about your Aggies, and what's your status with this team, and how you feel heading into the final weekend of the season here?
I feel a little hurt. I feel like ESPN has a personal vendetta against A&M. I'm watching the college football selection show, and I'm dying for maybe 30 seconds on the Aggies, and there's just nothing. And they're sitting at 5, and I feel like they need to be more part of the discussion.
Who do you think they should replace?
I think, well, my personal side is Ohio State's getting too much credit. Now, I'm not team Ohio State isn't good. I think they're really good. But I'm struggling to follow the logic of the committee with how you give the eye test to certain teams. Like Cincinnati keeps falling, and they're getting penalized for not playing in a couple weeks, but Ohio State isn't getting penalized. So I think there's a discrepancy there. And then the Florida losing to a 3-5 LSU team and only dropping one spot. I'm struggling to follow logic, but realistically, the only team that could probably fall out is Clemson. If Notre Dame beats Clemson, I think that's probably the only spot that's actually there for A&M to climb into. Because I think unless Notre Dame just gets blown out, but if Notre Dame loses a close game, I still think they're in. Still be a one-loss team. But maybe there's recency bias because A&M hasn't lost since week 1 or week 2. So I'm loving it, though. Year 3 of Jimbo's great. We're bringing in a monster recruiting class. We just got an awesome O-lineman out of Houston today, Bryce Foster. So
his name's Bryce.
That's right. So he must be a legend. But we're building a championship roster. It's what we paid $75 million to Jimbo for. So now we'll see. I think next year is going to be the true test. We're losing 4 seniors on the O-line. We're losing Kellen Mond. We're going to see if we've truly acquired a championship roster and talent, or if this year's just a fluke. So I think next year is going to be a really deciding year on the real status of the roster.
So I'm on if people have listened to the podcast, I'm on the side that Ohio State just hasn't played enough, and I'm open to the idea. Hey, what about these undefeated teams? They need a shot. So Coastal and Cincinnati and keep them in the mix. And then for me, I would rather see Texas A&M in there because they played more of a full schedule than Ohio State. Even
Yep.
though I heard on the radio today, Ohio State is of course one of the top 4 teams just based on the eye test. But do they deserve to be there? No, they don't, because they didn't do enough this year, and it's out of their control, but it is what it is. That's the season that they had. It was shorter, and every game, I heard a guy this morning talking about every game wears on you injury-wise, the chance
Yep.
to lose, to get upset. And when you remove all that for Ohio State, sure, do we think that they would have won all those games if they played a normal schedule? Sure, because they're good enough to do that. But we don't know. So that was removed, and so we saw what Texas A&M did this year, and so I'm at least open to their case as well as Coastal and Cincinnati.
Yep.
So we'll see how the championship games go this weekend. So we're recording here on a Friday, but it should be a wild weekend. And I have to say this. So as much as I absolutely love Christmas, I love sports, I don't know how to juggle both this time of year. Like every year it hits me and I'm thinking, okay, Saturday. So we're celebrating Christmas this Saturday, the 18th or what's today? The 19th. We're going, my mom's having knee surgery and so prayers for her, please. But she has it like kind of right before Christmas, normal Christmas. So we're having to shift our whole family get together before. And so anyway, Saturday with my side of the family, and then later in the afternoon, this is kind of normally when we meet with Jody's extended family. And so we got a full day, not to mention we've got college football all day. We've got 2 NFL games that I'm intrigued by. Got to watch the Bills, got to watch the Panthers at night. And so, I mean, you got Panthers Packers is always a fun one. So anyway, I'll try to juggle it all. Thank goodness for YouTube TV and an unlimited DVR. So I will be locked in on that. But then at the other part of it, I've got to get in all my Christmas movies before Christmas, because I'm not one of these guys that likes to go too heavy on the Christmas movies after Christmas. Once Christmas is over, I kind of start to move on. Maybe the 26th, I'll keep the love going, but then I move on. So anyway, so I've got a lot on my my plate this Christmas, kind of the weekend before Christmas. That's the big weekend. That's what we're heading into. And of course, with sports going on, it's wild as well. And then Christmas Day with the NBA, you're a huge NBA fan.
Yeah.
I'm excited. That's kind of the big kickoff for the NBA season. So we're going to have to try to squeeze that in on day of Christmas. So,
well, yeah, sports absolutely take precedent. It's almost like because I'm a huge Christmas music, Christmas movie nut. I start early for this rule I made up for myself, which gets tons of hate. As soon as the temperature dips below the 60s, it's 60s. Fair game. So sometimes it's September, I'm starting Christmas music. Sometimes it's October. In Texas, you never know. But as soon as I get that cold weather feeling, I got a cup of coffee in my hand. It feels like Christmas music has to be on, and then it's game over. I agree with you. Once the 25th passes, so I love Hallmark Christmas movies, as cheesy as they are.
Hey, so do I. So
I love them. I love them to death.
YouTube TV, you have to pay extra for Hallmark, and I have not bit the bullet on that one because I'm paying extra for the sports package.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, when it's the 26th, 27th, I can have them on in the background, but I'm not really invested because I feel like, I mean, Christmas is over. I'm okay starting early.
Yeah,
but yeah, continuing, overtime. I don't know about that. I want but yeah, sporting events take precedent during sporting hours. It's almost like you got to get your Christmas music in after hours. And maybe a 10 p.m. showing, maybe a 6:30 a.m. showing. But I just like on a Saturday, like this Saturday, am I going to sit down and watch Elf during the 3 p.m. slot of Clemson Notre Dame? No. Not a chance. No. Not a chance. Christmas Day, I'm especially watching my Mavericks that are going to be finally have a Christmas game. It's been a long time, but for sure I'm going to spend time to watch Luka and the new Josh Richardson to the lineup. I'll be watching. I'll be all dialed in on NBA Christmas. But I agree with you, especially this year. the latter half of this year has been sports overload. You have
Overload.
a November Masters. I was watching. I mean, the golf bug is so inside of me. I was watching any golf I can get. I'm watching. I was watching the LPGA U.S. Open.
Oh, wow.
They're playing golf in December. I'm like, golf in December? Count me in. But I agree. Yeah, in normal years, it's hard to fit in sports and Christmas, but especially this year when the second half of the year is just jam packed. It's brutal.
I know. And for me too, this time of year, I like to reload, re-energize, and part of that because my life is sports and I'm all in all the time. So it is nice to get some of the escape with Christmas stuff and all that. But these are like really important games going on, and so it is hard to say, man, I'm not going to watch that game. But even like last night with Oakland or Las Vegas and the Chargers, I had it on and I was like, I'm kind of having a tough time getting into this. And so anyway, I went to bed, but I was like, I'll watch it in the morning and YouTube, DVR. And that game was awesome. Like it was a great game, went into overtime. It was actually very intriguing. Marcus Mariota coming in.
Marcus Mariota, man, he was balling.
But he does get an interception. It wasn't fully his fault. So that ended up being great. And I followed the Chargers a little bit this year because they were my team in the fantasy football league. But I finally last night, I think I'm now officially all in on Justin Herbert. I think he's awesome. I think he's the real deal. He's very humble. He's the most impressive middle schooler I've ever seen play in the NFL. I mean, it's the funniest thing. I was watching him interviewed before the game. He just seems like a little kid, but man, he is a baller. And I think the Chargers have a special quarterback in him. And I do wonder though with the Raiders, I love Derek Carr. He's been on Unpacking It, actually back when he was in college. So we were in early on Carr, but now with Mariota, it even going into the season, you always kind of wondered what does that mean for the quarterback position? I'm not sure that Carr has fully proven that he's the guy that they can build around, but they still, they're I guess at this point now they're out of the playoff hunt. So that was a big win for the Chargers just from a morale standpoint. Maybe they keep Anthony Lynn around. We'll see about that. But they do know Herbert's the guy. They've got the weapons on offense, and so probably the defense needs to improve a little bit in the offseason. But anyway, that was a fun one. So even on the nights where I think, Thursday night, Chargers, Reindeer, doesn't matter. The games are sucking me in because the NFL has been so good this year. Very few bad games. I will say, but most of the games, especially the marquee games or the national games, have been really good. I mean, think about Monday night. We had the Ravens and Browns. That was awesome.
I know.
I had to watch in the next morning. I think that was overtime as well.
It's refreshing to see. It's always refreshing in any sports league when the blue bloods are not, or they're more reachable, and then the cellar dwellers are actually playing good football. So the Browns being 9-4, count me in. Tennessee being super exciting the last couple of years, absolutely count me in. If I have to sacrifice a horrible NFC East to watch some great football in other divisions, hey, I'll do it every now and then. It's been a brutal year for my Cowboys and the rest of the division. But hey, I mean, when do we get Tuesday night football or a Thursday night football or a Wednesday night football? I mean, if it's on, I'm tuning in. So it's been great. Yeah, and especially, I love seeing more parity across the league. There's franchises that have just been struggling and now are putting together great seasons. And I love to see I love to see young quarterbacks develop. I mean, Herbert has been phenomenal.
From the moment he stepped on the field.
Even if Burrow would have stayed healthy all year, I think probably Herbert would have had a more impressive season. I mean, they both are phenomenal.
The Chargers offense is just better. It's set up better, especially in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Mixon going out.
Well,
I guess Eckler was out for a while too, but I mean, to me, the weapons are a little stronger in LA.
Burrow wasn't in the most promising situation as a rookie quarterback, but still was dominating. But Herbert's been phenomenal.
And then Tua. So I mean, that's a good quarterback crew. Those three guys. We haven't really seen all three hit in recent years because you think about Deshaun and Mahomes and then Trubisky. So so you always have those years and whatever the blame.
Hey, Trubisky had a good weekend though. I think he threw for like 280, 3 touchdowns. But consistency by no means there.
I know. And so I mentioned that the Ravens Browns game was awesome. It did not go into overtime. It felt like it did because that game lasted forever and it was
I know.
so many touchdowns and it
That
was
game had
insane.
so many talking points.
Oh my gosh.
Lamar running out of the locker room for the 4th and 5 to then throw a touchdown. Unbelievable. And then Baker
Hollywood
was
can't write that
dialed
script.
in. Yeah, Justin Tucker hits a bomb to win the game. Cleveland drives down to score a late touchdown to take the lead before the Ravens win. I mean, there was just so much there.
Yep, that was a classic one for sure. Well, let's shift gears and talk Christmas, and there will be plenty of reaction when we return in the new year to what will happen the next couple of weeks in the NFL, kind of winding down regular season, and we'll see some bowl games. My App State Mountaineers play in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, which is interesting. And then, like you mentioned, with the Mavs and the NBA getting going, my Hornets are intriguing this year, and so I'm excited about that. But Christmas already this season, we went and saw the Christmas lights at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. So this was pretty cool. So I like seeing lights, always a lot of fun. Normally you're looking for houses, but we went around like the track. So
wow,
NASCAR track and covered in lights. It ended up being a really cool experience. The secret, thankfully, my father-in-law, he's the one that got us the tickets. He bought the express lane tickets.
Now we're talking.
And so I mean the line was unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
And we zipped past them, baby. So we made it in. So so that was a ton of fun. And then the highlight for me this year is the fact that Maddie, now in Christmas number 2 for her, a little bit more aware, a little bit, she's running around, a lot of fun. And I probably mention this every year, but growing up, we always ran down the stairs, me and my 2 brothers, and everything was always competitive. And so every year somebody cried and it was great. So last year I ran down the stairs with little baby Maddie. This year I have to make the decision. Do I hold her on the way down or do I race her on the way down? Because she can walk, but she can't really go down the stairs. She can go up the stairs, just not down. So I don't know if this will be the debut this year for her to try to make it down the stairs. Will it take too long? Do I want to get down there fast to see what Santa brought me? So that's kind of what's up in the air as we gear up for the big day.
Hey, well, if maybe the right thing to do to just really teach her that humility and that competitive spirit is just dust her, just burn her down the stairs. She's 10 steps behind, and it'll be the classic younger brother, older brother story of older brother used to beat up on younger brother in the driveway playing basketball, and then younger brother ends up being way better. Hey,
right.
Maybe this is you're building that character young for her to be a phenom in whatever endeavor she ends up pursuing.
Oh no, it's gonna be great. And I've got her. I'm a big Christmas song guy, so I've been singing a lot of songs to her, especially during bath time. And I've been doing pretty much Silent Night on the way to bed. And then we've got these like Christmas carolers dolls that I don't know, my mom gave us or my grandma gave us over the years. But anyway, every time we go and I'll hold Maddie and go look at these little carolers, we sing Deck the Halls. And Maddie, who, can only say a few words, she gets in on the fa la 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 la.
Yeah.
So we've got the fa la 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 down, and that's been a lot of fun. So that's her big Christmas song for the year, fa la 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 la, and very, very cute. So I'm trying to teach her all the Christmas songs. And so speaking of Christmas songs, we're going to I guess announce the top 5 Christmas songs that put you in the Christmas mood. So that means when you hear those songs, you know it's Christmas. Now, there are a lot of great Christmas songs that you enjoy, and like, man, this is a great song. But you gotta have the go-to songs that just that warms your soul a little bit, gets you in that spirit, and it could just be the first line of a song, and maybe it takes you back to a Christmas movie that you love. And so, how about we go one at a time? So I'll reveal one. Do you have your 5?
Oh yeah.
You got your 5. Okay, I'll reveal my 5, and so I think I'll start with "It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year." and Andy Williams, the kind of the classic one. It's the
Okay.
most wonderful time of year. So especially like kind of early on in Christmas, the season, that gets it going for me. What about for you?
Yep. Yeah. So I'm gonna go White Christmas, some Bing Crosby action.
So you go Bing Crosby.
Yep.
Okay, so I go White Christmas also on my top 5, but I'm going the Drifters.
Okay.
Do,
That's good.
So that's my
See
go-to.
that? That's also a phenomenal one. So I think I'm a sentimental guy. I carry a lot of sentiment with me. But I saw White Christmas on Broadway with the family years and years ago,
Ooh.
and it was the Bing Crosby version. Oh, it's the sisters. Oh, it's so good. But side note, the horrendous audience etiquette. There was a lady with a flip phone who was getting a phone call every 10 seconds, and it was
Oh,
brutal. We
man.
felt so bad. She had no idea how to turn it off. But White Christmas, Bing Crosby, that's got to be top 5 for sure.
Love it. That's my go-to. So no, that's cool. You saw that on Broadway. Wow.
Yeah.
Very neat. I think I turned down your mic though. What'd you say the lady did?
Oh, she was getting a phone call every like 10, 15 seconds, and just brutal. Felt so bad. She had no idea how to turn off a ringer.
Oh my gosh, that's painful.
Yeah.
So the other one I love is Jingle Bell Rock. And I'll go Bobby Helms on this one, but I love Jingle Bell Rock. Basically anybody that sings that song. It's probably my favorite Christmassy song overall. So I'll throw that in the mix. What about for you?
Okay, so this one is going to be an uncommon answer, but from the Polar Express soundtrack, Believe by Josh Groban. It just gets me every time because I love the Polar Express and I love Josh Groban, but Believe, the intro, the first 10 seconds, the instrumental, it's so soothing. It just makes me immediately want to go pour a cup of coffee.
So we love the Polar Express. That's a yearly tradition in the Johnson household. So
it gets hated on among some of my buddies.
Are you serious? What's wrong with them?
I don't know, but I've tried to correct. I've tried to rebuke. But no, I'm definitely a Polar Express evangelist in my geography here.
Oh my gosh. No, that's a wonderful movie. And the performance by Tom Hanks, who does all of the voices.
Oh, so good.
Oh my gosh. So, all right, number, I guess this would be my 4th one. See if you know this one. Holly Jolly Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Earl Ives, I guess.
Yep.
This is the classic. So that's my Holly Jolly Christmas.
So Burl Ives, money.
Yeah,
money.
That one gets me in the spirit for sure.
Yep.
All right, go ahead with your I guess you're on your 3rd.
Yep. So I'm gonna go Christmas Canon by Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Ooh.
Now there's also a rock version, but I'll go just the original version. The rock's good. I'll go original version. I just something about the way the instruments blend. That's for me, that's a great background. We're communing with the family, fellowshipping in my grandma's house. We've got some Trans-Siberian Orchestra lightly on in the background. It's just,
sets the mood.
It's such a mood setter.
That's a great one. We'll give your 4th one, and then I'll wrap up with my 5th.
Yep. So you know what? Since you're throwing a lot of OGs, so I'm gonna throw a new one.
Ooh, okay.
It's a Justin Bieber and Boys to Men song.
Oh, I got the Bieber album.
Okay, it's called Fa La La. Now, so Maddie might love these lyrics. It's called Fa La La by Justin Bieber and Boys to Men. Super, great beat, great lyrics, very fun, very fun to throw on with a group of friends in the car or something.
And so that's acceptable. The Biebs is acceptable with a group of friends, huh? I think if I threw a Biebs on my group of friends, I would never hear the end of it. However, I am a believer. So
we are all believers. The fever never went away.
No,
temperature still above 100.
His song with Chance the Rapper, great song.
Oh yeah. So the interesting thing is when we were in middle school, all my buddies, I think just out of our vendetta was against Justin Bieber. All the girls were loving Bieber. We're like, oh no, we can't stand for that. Then the documentary came out, and they were like, some of us secretly watched it. And then when we were in high school and college, it's like now Justin Bieber is cool, and he was on my top five artists listened to in 2020. On my Spotify Wrapped gave me a recount or a rerun of all of my artists, and he made the top 5.
Speaking of off air, you're gonna have to tell me how you get that. I could never find where's my Spotify for the year. So
you're a Spotify? Oh yeah, because you're a Spotify guy.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I don't know how to get my thing.
Yep, just I think you just Google Spotify Wrapped, and there's a link, and it takes you to your Spotify account, and it gives you, and then Spotify will make you a playlist of your top 100 songs of the previous year. So I've been cranking through shuffling that playlist the past couple of weeks.
That'll be interesting to see. All right, I like that. I need to do that. All right, so my final, I'm gonna do a trio of songs, but
okay,
when I think of Christmas Eve, going to church actually in person, which is a nice thing to think about.
Yeah.
And the key songs that put me in the ultimately the spiritual Christmas spirit, I've got to go Joy to the World, kicking off a service. So that's always my favorite. That's my favorite Christmas song. And then throw in Hark the Herald Angels Sing. Absolutely love that song. So that's got to be in the mix. And then to wrap up the night with Silent Night. So that's a nice traditional Christmas service, little candlelight service. Oh, it's the best.
So good.
And so then I'm ready to go home Christmas Eve and feeling good with those 3 songs. So is there maybe a church Christmas song that does it for you? Puts you in the mood?
So I've got 2 songs to shout out here.
Okay.
So one is a non-church song, and it is my non-traditional favorite Christmas song. It is called The 12 Days of Christmas by Straight No Chaser. They're an a cappella group, and it's a medley. Ooh. It is the most legendary Christmas medley a cappella of all time.
All right, say it again. Say it again.
It's The 12 Days of Christmas by Straight No Chaser.
Wow.
So they're an a cappella group, and they have a Christmas album, and this medley is phenomenal. It's like they go from one song to another, like it's like you're getting lyrically crossed over. You have to always be ready.
Oh my gosh.
Day of Christmas, my true love gave to me.
This is it.
Oh yeah.
Tree. On the second day of Christmas.
You got to give it a listen. It's so good. And then I'm gonna have to double down on Silent Night at Christmas service.
Yeah.
There is nothing like holding a candle, Silent Night. It's got to be a top 10 annual event of singing Silent Night with a candle in church. Just can't be beat.
I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that this year, so I'm going to miss that. So
we'll have to go home remedy.
That's right. That's not a bad idea.
A DIY Silent Night candle. Oh yeah.
Man. All right. That's a great challenge to all of our Unpacking It listeners today. Let's bring a little Silent Night with a candlelight to our homes.
Yes, and young Maddie can be a trailblazer. Maybe post a picture of her or video holding the candle. That would be glorious for social media.
The likelihood of Jody allowing Maddie to hold a candle, slim to none. Slim to none. We almost had a meltdown this morning as the lamp almost fell this morning. So thankfully the lamp stayed on, but Maddie was going for the lamp. So I can only imagine what she would do with a candle. So that was crisis averted this morning.
Yes.
All right. So those are the songs. And I'll run through these real quick. I put together my top 5 Christmas skips. As much as I love Christmas music, there are some songs that I do not like, that I do not want to hear. And I want to start with 2 that it's not that I don't like these lyrics, because I think these lyrics, there's some, spiritual side of it that's nice and encouraging, but I just can't get there as far as these songs playing and getting me into the Christmas spirit, as introspective as maybe they are. And that, of course, is Mary, Did You Know? I can't do it. And then What Child Is This? Again, they're sweet songs. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I just can't. Are you a fan of either one?
I I probably have. I tolerate them more than you do.
Okay.
They're not in my must-haves.
Okay.
So I would. This is a hot take. I'd potentially add Joy to the World.
Oh, all right. We're done here. We're done here. Cut his mic.
Only potentially. So here's my thing. It can be done really good, but it can be done really cringy. So if I show up, it's December 15th, and we open with a loud Joy to the World.
Too much.
Too much.
Doing too much.
The song itself carries its own weight.
Very cheerful, upbeat.
Yeah. You don't have to make it a rocker. I don't need to feel like a concert. Don't need to get a top 3 vocalist in there. Hey, let's enjoy the song for what it is. Another song I'll answer on behalf of one of my close buddies. He is allergic to Little Drummer Boy.
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
I love it.
I love Little Drummer Boy.
I love it. But we would always, he hated it so much. We got him a VCR of Little Drummer Boy and put in, and would sneak it into his backpack every year. And then we would just wait until he found it, and he would just be so just averse to the idea of him carrying around Little Drummer Boy.
Oh my gosh, that's tremendous.
Yeah.
That's a great song, because actually that's one of those songs that there are a lot of different versions that I can get behind. Some different styles on that one. That's a great song. Here are my last 3 Christmas skips. And these are based on, I actually don't like the lyrics more than anything. They're weird. I just I can't get into it. Mommy kissing Santa. Get it out. Get it out. I don't want it. I don't want to hear it. It's weird. Ugh. And then the other one, Santa baby, is just annoying. Oh, it's annoying. Santa baby. Oh, get it out. And then, baby, it's cold outside.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Oh, I can't do it.
If
sorry.
you do a word lyric study, if you just read the lyrics of that song,
it's bad.
There is a creep factor.
Cringe.
It's like the tune itself. Oh yeah, baby, it's cold outside.
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
It's snow.
On the
But
surface.
On the surface,
yes,
it's phenomenal. But you go one layer lower below the surface, and you're starting to think, man, is this what I'm singing? Is this what's in the song? No, yeah, just not sure about it. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yep. So those are the ones I'm skipping. There's probably some more, but those are at least the top 5 ones. And so let us know. You can email us, Bryce@unpackingit.com. Top 5 Christmas skips, or give us one that you would have, and then also your favorite Christmas mood songs that just really get you in the spirit of Christmas, that reminds you maybe even of growing up. Which one is that for you? Bryce@unpackingit.com. All right, now let's talk movies. So I try to squeeze in as many Christmas movies as possible. I will say, I don't think this is a Hallmark movie, but the one that we watched this year is called The Christmas Clause, or The Christmas Contract. The Christmas Contract. It's from the girl from One Tree Hill, which was a popular show when I was in high school.
Okay.
You remember that? I don't know. You're too young maybe for that one.
Oh,
you remember that?
Possibly my favorite. Possibly my favorite show of all time.
Oh, so the blonde girl in that, I can't remember her name, but she's in this movie, The Christmas Contract, and it's excellent.
Did you watch One Tree Hill?
I dabbled. I had a little high school girlfriend that liked it, and so I watched it at that time.
So it's on Hulu, and some of my buddies, we are all in on One Tree Hill.
Oh,
we can't. My birthday, and back in September, my buddy gave me a hoodie from the show, like Keith Scott's like repair shop. I have a hoodie, Keith Scott Repair Shop, and it's one of the greatest gifts I've ever gotten. But so I've been noticing Hallmark has been. It's almost like they're simply just recruiting One Tree Hill characters and bringing them over to be on Hallmark movies.
Maybe it is a Hallmark movie. Then.
I've seen 5 or 6 One Tree Hill people on Hallmark movies this year. So I don't know if what was going on there, but I'm loving it.
What
I
a
love
great
it.
decision.
Oh, it's great.
That's like when they had all the Full House girls.
Oh, 100%.
That was always a win. So that you knew that, all right, this would be worth. This is a worthy Hallmark movie if one of the wonderful characters from Full House, which was one of my favorite shows growing up. So that was a good movie this year. And then we also, speaking of old shows, Saved by the Bell, Zach Morris, He's in a Christmas movie called The 12 Dates of Christmas, and it's excellent. Highly recommend that one. That was a new one for this year. So those are the fresh ones. Actually, it's not a new movie. It's an older movie, new to me. But as far as the classic movies, I've talked about this over the years, but I love Santa Claus, love The Polar Express, both Home Alones. I choose Home Alone 2 over Home Alone 1, but I've already watched Home Alone 1. Home Alone 2 is on the docket for tonight. Santa Claus is on the docket for tonight to really kick off Christmas break for us. And then let's see. We've already watched Christmas with the Cranks, which is an underrated Christmas movie. And so in a moment, I will share my top 5 movie quotes for the year. Last year, I did the most underrated quotes. These are just 5 for this year, some fun ones to think about. But you had something that you wanted to share today on the podcast, maybe a confession about a Christmas movie you've never seen or one that you don't like. What is that for you to share today?
Well, the the pre-confession is I haven't seen Christmas with the Cranks, but
that's a great one.
I have yet to see the complete National Lampoon Christmas Vacation.
Oh, you're blowing it. You are blowing it.
I have
start to finish. Tremendous movie.
And it hasn't been because I haven't liked it. I just haven't sat down and said, I'm going to watch this movie. I've come in at like friends watching it. I catch a scene, but I've never actually seen the whole movie, which that burden is getting heavier and heavier each Christmas because I know I need to see it. And every year people, I mean, it seems to be one of the most quotable movies of all time. So
it absolutely is. And I didn't mention that as I was listing off my favorite movies. That's absolutely in my top 5. Love Chevy Chase, and they capture like family Christmas, and people coming from out of town, the lights, the work dynamic, the family relationships, all of it. It's fantastic. And so let's start. We'll start with that movie for my top 5 clips for the year. So once you watch the movie, you'll realize that the neighbors in the show, kind of an underrated but hilarious aspect of this movie. But I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. And so Elaine is in Christmas Vacation.
No way.
And here's one of our top 5 clips from the year.
And why is the carpet all wet, Todd?
I don't know, Margot.
And then they look over and they know it's from the Griswolds. Oh my gosh, I love that. Why is the carpet wet, Todd? I don't know, Marco. So good. It's so good. So that's a great movie. There is a part of the movie though that is very fast forwardable once you've seen the movie before, because he goes down memory lane and it's a little slow. So that's fast forwardable. So all right, the other movie that I like is of course Elf. Yep. And so let's go to this scene where he's basically apologizing to the family, and he says this:
I ruined your lives. I ruined your lives.
And then he says this. This is the better part of the
and crammed 11 cookies into the VCR.
For cramming 11 cookies into the VCR. I love everything about that line, and it's underrated, and keeping the VCR alive is great. So I love that about Christmas movies, because they remain so much a part of our culture moving forward. And so you flash back to these movies from the early 90s, and this one's probably from early 2000s. So yeah, I love that. 11 cookies in the VCR.
Underrated part of that quote is the number of cookies into the VCR. Phenomenal. We glaze over that, but that is just an astronomical number.
That's good stuff. Yeah, that's now I've got him playing in the background. So that's a good one from Elf. So many clips in Elf that are great. So I was watching Home Alone earlier this year, and I've heard my brother say this line over the years, but I guess it never clicked from where it was from. And so this year it really did for me. So let me set this clip up from Home Alone.
Eggs and fabric softener. I got you milk, eggs, and fabric softener.
So it's at the end of the movie. And then,
No kidding. No kidding.
so his dad goes, "No kidding." And then
No
this is
kidding.
the line.
What a funny guy. What else did you do while we were away? What a funny guy. What else?
What a funny guy. What a funny guy. So my brother says it all the time. What a funny guy. It's just such a great subtle line. What a funny guy.
Oh yeah.
Funny guy. So you can use that. You can use that year round. Oh, what a
That's
funny
right.
guy. What a funny guy. I used it in my group chat in fantasy the other day. I can't remember what I
Okay.
was talking about, but I threw that in. Oh, what a funny guy. All right. And then in Santa Claus,
Hmm.
we before air, the dynamic between Scott Calvin, who is Santa Claus, Tim Allen, and the new husband or the new stepfather for Charlie, Neil.
Neil.
The dynamic is hilarious. And so little Charlie says this.
He doesn't believe in Santa. Neil doesn't believe in Santa.
So Neil doesn't believe in Santa. Okay, so how does Tim Allen respond to that? Oh, it's great. What a good line.
Oh.
Well, Neil's head comes to a point.
There are so many
Great.
Scott Calvin, Tim Allen rebuttals to Neil that are just phenomenal. I think one of my favorite ones is Neil says something about his job, and he makes some analysis of Charlie, and and then Tim Allen just responds, "Well, Neil, thank you for that just incredible analysis," and then just walks away. And it's so funny. And then all the slights at Neil's sweaters. Hey, nice sweater, Neil. Where'd you get that?
Oh, God. And then when the elf comes and they try to figure out, do we make this sweater?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, what's so funny, I mean, I've been watching Santa Claus for 20 plus years anyway.
So good.
The more you watch it, the more, the funnier the lines are. And I'll find myself just saying lines throughout the year. And sometimes I even forget what it's from, but it's because I've seen these Christmas movies so many times.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. So any other lines that you want to share as we wrap up the movie segment?
Yep. So some movies that I am just such a sucker for are the claymation movies from like the 1960s.
Really? I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Oh, we watched 2 of them last night. They were
Oh.
so good. So my favorite one is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh my God.
And the best character is a guy named Yukon Cornelius. And he's like an adventurer trying to find silver and gold. Big red beard, big mustache, and he'll throw his pickaxe and he'll land in ice, and he'll try to lick it and taste if there's any silver and gold. It's just so funny. And then Santa Claus is coming to town. All those claymations are, I think what I love, it makes me feel like I'm 8 years old again, and I just love them because I grew up watching them, and they're just so good. And so, it sparked me doing some research. We're doing some research on the song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which we haven't talked about yet.
Ooh.
But it started out as a
I'm
poem
thinking that.
in like 1930, in the 1930s, and then it was written for Gene Autry, and Gene Autry made it a famous song. But it was originally a retail store, was trying to sell a book or a story, and then the traction it's gained since the 30s and 40s is just unbelievable. So it started out as a poem, started out as like a children's book, and then Gene Autry made it #1 song. So
that's it. No, that's a good song. I'm in on that one. I've been singing that one. I forget the
Another
lyrics sometimes.
Yeah, another quote. Elf, the 4 main food groups: candy, candy cane, candy corns, and syrup.
Love
The
it.
best part is when he drinks the 2-liter soda and then unleashes the burp of the century.
Love it.
And me and my buddies, I would try relentlessly to try to mirror that burp. Never got close, but I always
By
thought.
drinking a 2-liter? Can you
Well,
do it?
I wouldn't drink a 2-liter, but I'd probably down half a can of Sprite. So my mom wouldn't dare let me do trial and error on trying to drink that much soda for a burp. But oh my gosh, that was a dream of mine to just replicate the greatest burp I've ever heard. Oh, the burp heard around the world.
It's impressive, but the problem is it's too computer animated,
Oh, I know, but it's
generated.
that burp was just heroic for me.
That's
And
great.
then "Merry Christmas, You Filthy Animal" from Home Alone, iconic.
I've got the shirt. I've got the
Yep,
shirt.
just absolutely
Sweatshirt.
iconic. And then underrated, I got to go back to Polar Express. With the way Tom Hanks says, "All aboard," and then his ticket clicking ability.
Yes.
It's so satisfying hearing the clicks and then
Little
unbelievable.
words, and it's great.
Yeah.
I'm glad for your appreciation of the Polar Express, because it really is
It is
a
so
wonderful film.
so good. Oh my gosh. And then especially the red beard guy pulling down on the beard to
Yep.
move the animals off the ice. Oh, so many good scenes in that movie.
It's a beautiful movie all around. Everything about it. It's just wonderful. And I loved the book growing up, so I appreciate the movie as well. So there you go. Let us know your favorite movie clips as well. You can email me, Bryce at unpackingit.com. Maybe you're listening as you're doing some last minute Christmas shopping, but pull over, shoot us an email, Bryce at unpackingit.com. And even though we goofed around a little bit, had some fun talking burps and movie clips and Christmas songs and everything in between, I do want to wrap things up with an encouraging word. And you know, we celebrate Christmas every year, and I think it's very easy to take things for granted or get tired of the Christmas story, or, you know, oh, we've heard it and this and that. And you know, I grew up in the church, and so every year you hear the Christmas story. But I think for us to challenge ourselves to, you know, ask God to kind of give us new eyes, new perspective, and help us to even find depth that is there, and find aspects of the story that reveal God's goodness, that reveal his power, that reveal kind of his ability to orchestrate all the details from the prophecy of what was to come in the Old Testament to it being fulfilled in the New Testament to now us being able to experience Jesus in a very real way today. And it you know, it began with Jesus entering earth as a baby. And it's, you know, you think about it, you go, man, that's just the craziest thing. And then it hopefully brings us to a point of, man, God is good and powerful and awesome. And so this year, what hit me in a new way, and maybe you've heard this before, it hadn't hit me in this way before. And I'm so excited to share this with you. The idea of a manger. Why a manger? Why is that detail important? What does it mean? And sure enough, the word manger actually comes from the Latin word for chew or eat. And so I was reading up on it, and here's the deal. So mangers were located wherever livestock were kept, places like stables, corrals, or caves. So farmers were sure to keep their mangers well supplied with fodder at all times so the animals would never go hungry. The cattle can walk up to a manger at any time and then spend long leisure hours chomping away, chewing and slowly re-chewing their cud. And so think about that for a minute. So, okay, a manger. So why that word? Why was Jesus placed in a manger? Was it by accident? No way, because God is too much in the details. He's too much in the details of our own lives. Luke and I were even talking about that before we got on. Dates. God's involved with dates. You know, for us with Jody and I, we had a miscarriage on a date, and then our baby Maddie her due date was the same date 2 years later. And so is that a coincidence? No, God's in the details of everything. And so I trust that God was in the details of a manger. And so let's go to Luke chapter 2, where it says, and this will be a sign for you. You will find a baby wrapped in swaddling cloths and lying in a manger. And so that was for the shepherds. So the sign was the manger. That's what separated, you know, there were a lot of babies being born, and babies were, you know, all over the place and that kind of thing. But Jesus was in a manger. That's who they were looking for. And so then maybe you've caught on to the parallel here, but as I was reading, this is what I read. Jesus has an infinite storehouse of nourishment available, and we can approach him anytime and never go hungry. And so, as Jesus said in his own words, when he was here on earth, he said, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst. And so I was reading the notes on this as well. And it says, he nourishes people spiritually and satisfies the deep spiritual longings of their souls. In that sense, those who trust in him shall not hunger. That is, their spiritual longing to know God will be satisfied. So there Jesus is in a manger, in a trough that's normally there for animals to feed on and be nourished and all that sort of thing for the animals. And that's what Jesus is for us, for our souls. And so Jesus also says that I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Anyone who eats this bread will live forever. And this bread, which I will offer so the world may live, is my flesh. And so ultimately, what he gave of himself took place on the cross. And so it's all about the cross and him giving his life for us. And so the notes on this verse read, the bread Jesus gives is his flesh, death on a cross. Jesus is not talking about literal bread, but he is the true living bread in the sense that those who believe in him have their spiritual hunger satisfied. He becomes this spiritually satisfying bread by sacrificing his own physical body in his death on the cross. And in that sense, he can say that this spiritual bread is my flesh. And so I think those are the only verses. Just to throw in as well, in John chapter 4, it says, but those who drink the water I give will never be thirsty again. It becomes a fresh, bubbling spring within them, giving them eternal life. And so the Holy Spirit, dwells within believers. So a person's deepest spiritual longing to know God personally will amazingly be satisfied forever because Jesus died on the cross, rose again, and paid the punishment of sin for us. And we then receive the Holy Spirit to live within us. And so the deepest longing of our soul takes place, and we become satisfied when we know Jesus, receive Jesus, and understand what he did on the cross and believe in that power of the death and resurrection of Jesus. So, man, the manger is the example of that, a reminder of that. And so as you hear the story this year, as you see different nativity scenes, don't look past the manger and recognize that Jesus is the bread of life, and he gave his body for us on the cross. Luke, any thoughts on that? What have you heard that before?
Not in that detail. I think it's so cool that you detail that. One, I just think it's so important to just talk about the gospel as reminding people what the gospel is, who it's about around Christmas. Especially, it's easy in Western culture to get caught up in material things around Christmas, but really buying into what now is almost a cliche, Jesus is the reason for the season, but really buying into that. And I'm such a proponent of hearing the gospel as often as possible, even if it's telling ourselves in the mirror every day what the gospel is. That's one of my biggest prayers, is that God would give me more gratitude, more love, more thankfulness for the gospel every day, because ultimately that's the truest thing I can ever believe in. But the coolest thing about the manger is it's one of so many connections between the Old and New Testament. Like, I took yeah, and so much prophecy and so many connections. I was in my Old Testament class this past semester.
Luke is going to seminary.
Yeah. So I just started as a seminary student at Southwestern Seminary in Fort Worth, Texas. Been great. But it's just beautiful to learn about the richness and depth of Scripture. It's like even Bethlehem itself was prophesied. The prophet Micah in the Old Testament talks about in Micah 5:2 said, "But you, Bethlehem, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from ancient times." Like, my gosh, like there are so many connections, prophecies pointing to Christ who fulfills them. And the best way to read
the specific details.
The specific details. Oh my gosh.
And
even like Jesus riding in a donkey's colt, like that, a donkey's colt is prophesied. And that you can best read that. The Gospel of Matthew has the greatest emphasis on Old Testament prophecies being fulfilled, which is really cool. And yeah, it's so cool. The book of Luke is the only gospel that really details Jesus's birth, and talks about a manger. But it's so cool. Another cool connection is Bethlehem was a town that raised a ton of sacrificial lambs. Sacrificial lambs were raised in Bethlehem a lot. And you see Jesus is our sacrificial lamb. It's so cool. And then I think my favorite thing about the manger itself is just the humility that it shows. And yet another example of the unbelievable humility for Jesus, who is God, to step out of endless glory, like the greatest glory being in heaven, the right hand of the Father, steps and becomes human, fully God, fully man. Like that is uncomprehendable if you really think about it. Like it's almost like LeBron playing middle school basketball, like, and then multiply that by eternity, like stepping out of glory of who you are, stepping into a broken world to save people who do not deserve to be saved. It's the only thing we can do is praise. Like that is the only thing we can do is worship and praise in response to that. Like there's nothing. So I just love how a manger, it's prophesied, and it also just displays the humility of Jesus. Like he didn't come to be praised. He didn't come to be served, but to serve. And the manger is just yet another example of the humility that Christ has and came to display. So I think that's one of my favorite things of looking at the birth of Jesus is literally God was born in a manger. I mean, and laid after birth in a manger. I mean, what God deserves is endlessly greater than that. So, yeah, just it should lead to greater praise. That's my prayer is reading through all this stuff is God, would you just let it lead to greater praise? Because that's truly the only thing I can do.
That's right. No, I love that. And I think, yeah, there are just a number of symbols or triggers throughout the Christmas season that remind us of God's power, love, goodness, and let's allow those triggers to send us to a heart of thankfulness and gratitude and praise and worship, and not just sing Christmas songs as traditional songs, but so many of them are rich in tremendous praise and truth and
like joy to the world.
There you go. That's
lyrically, joy to the world, the Lord has come. That sentence alone is miraculous.
It's cool. Yeah. No, it's a wonderful perspective, and come let us adore him.
Yeah.
And, that's what the shepherds too. They went to find the manger so that they could worship God and his power for what took place. And ultimately worship Jesus, even as a baby, that's another thing to kind of think about too, knowing they knew that was true. They knew that this was the savior of the world, that would grow up to be the savior. And man, that's just, so there's so many layers to study, to think, to ponder. And so today I went the direction of the manger, and it really encouraged my heart and gave me a new perspective heading into this kind of final week before Christmas. And so I hope that was encouragement to everybody listening today. Would love to know your thoughts, man, on Christmas, any of the topics we talked today, or the Unpacking It podcast overall, and any, encouragement or changes that you'd like to see with the show moving forward. Would love to hear from you, Bryce at unpackingit.com. Well, Luke, thanks for all of your hard work this year as our social media director. And everybody can follow us at Unpacking It on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And Luke's the man behind the content that displays there. So go give him a shout out, give him some love on social media. But Luke's also getting married in March, so wish him a congratulations on that. And enjoy is this your first Christmas? Did you know her last Christmas?
This will be our first Christmas together. This our first wave of holidays together. So it's been just so fulfilling. It's been amazing.
Gosh, that's cool. Well, that'll be fun. So soak it in, enjoy it. And then next Christmas you'll be married. So that'll be
Wow.
cool as well.
Yep.
And I'll keep you posted on whether or not I run down the stairs with Maddie. Do I race her? Do we let her walk down? What do we do? So we'll
That's
keep
right.
you-
Hey, if you humble her on the staircase, it's just helping her be mirror the humility of Christ. So
There you go.
spiritual tie-ins.
That's right. That's right. So, man, we'll enjoy the show today. This has been the 2020 Christmas special here on the Unpacking It podcast. As always, I wrap it up by saying I'm Bryce. I'm a sports fan who follows Jesus. I believe in the good news that he died on the cross for my sin. He was resurrected, and through faith, I have been saved by his grace. I hope that is true for you as well. And I hope you'll join me as we live life as sports fans who follow Jesus together. For Luke Heaton, I'm Bryce Johnson. For the entire staff here at Unpacking It, we wish you a Merry Christmas. We will talk to you again in 2021 right here on the Unpacking It podcast.